go into quickly the Rhesus grouping. Rhesus grouping. Okay, so quickly write. The Rhesus grouping is as a result of the presence of Rhesus antigens. The presence or absence, of Rhesus antigens. I said the Rhesus grouping is dependent on the presence or absence of the Rhesus antigens. Yeah. The Rhesus antigens. Is it still breaking? Okay, so I said that the Rhesus grouping is as a result of the presence or absence of the Rhesus antigens in the blood cell membrane. Presence or absence of the Rhesus antigens in the blood cell membrane. Okay, very good. So let's continue. So as I said, now the Rhesus antigens include C, capital C, small letter C, comma, then you have D, then you have capital E, small letter E. These are the 5 Rhesus antigens. So you could put down that there are 5 Rhesus antigens which include these: C, C, D, E, E. There are 5 Rhesus antigens which include these. However, the most important Rhesus antigen is Rhesus antigen D. So if Rhesus antigen D is present in the cell membrane, the blood is said to be Rhesus positive. The blood is said to be Rhesus positive. If Rhesus antigen D is present in the cell membrane, the blood is said to be Rhesus positive. Is it clear? Thank you. Now, on the other hand, you write if Rhesus antigen D is absent in the cell membrane, the blood is said to be Rhesus negative. I can hear. Why are we making noise in the background? Can we still hear what I'm saying? Hello, what? Okay, it's all right. Good. It's all right. I understand. I heard you. Okay, thank you. Are we done writing this so I can continue? Are we done writing this? Okay, very good. Now, what all these positive and negative means is, listen, when you say that somebody's blood group is O positive, it means that the person has Rhesus antigen D present. If you say that it is O negative, it means the person does not have antigen D. Am I making myself clear? Please, antigen D, I said if you have O positive, the positive means antigen D is present. Negative means antigen D is not present. Please, Rhesus antigen is not a disease. Like, it's not a sickness. It's not like HIV positive. So when you say somebody is Rhesus positive, the person is not sick. I hope this is clear. Before some of you be like, I'm O positive, or does it mean I have Rhesus? It's not a sickness. I hope what I'm saying is clear. Okay, very good. So let's move ahead from that. Now, the most abundant blood type existing in the world is O positive. O positive makes about 35% of the world's population. O positive makes about 35% of the world's population. After O positive, you have O negative, which makes about, not O negative, sorry, A positive. A positive blood makes about 30% of the world population. So if, for instance, we were to do a random check, are you all listening? Hello, are we in class? Hello, can we hear me? Okay, so I did a random experiment. Thank you, sorry. I did a random experiment in the last class. My roommates, about 4 of them, the ones that knew their blood group, I asked them their blood group, and they answered in the class. And we noticed that most of them, or all of them in fact, were all Rhesus positive. What does that tell us? About 85% of the world population is Rhesus positive. So you can put that down. About 85% of the world population is Rhesus positive. Now, but just note, the rarest blood type, most rare blood type is AB negative. This is what we call the golden blood. What did I call this? The golden blood. Basically, negatives occur when negative parents get married. So if an A negative father gets married to an AB negative mother, one of the child is likely going to be AB negative. But then, as I said, it's based on, when we get to hereditary and variation, specifically hereditary, you find out that there is a rule called the rule of independent assortment, which means it's possible that A and B might never meet. We'll discuss that when we get there. Let's just move ahead for now. So that's that basically. So the golden blood, which is the rarest blood type, is AB negative. It makes about 1% of the world's entire population. Now, how does Rhesus positive and negative affect us? Majorly where it affects is with respect to childbirth. I told us a story in the last class. Most of you were not there. But I had this woman in the yard I was living in some years ago. After her first child, every other fetus that she conceives dies off. And she would go to shrine, she would go to pastor, she would go to so many places. And the problem was still there. Now, it was later on, I was actually talking with my mom. I wasn't even a medical student at the time. I was like, Mom, I think this thing has to do with Rhesus Factor. I think I was still studying my other course then. And I told her that this thing likely has to do with Rhesus, that they should go and check it in the hospital. That if she is a Rhesus negative woman, she is likely going to have stillbirth as a result of Rhesus positive children. Now, let's explain that. So listen. And it is not a death sentence. I take it again. It is not what? A death sentence. What you need to do is, you need to go to the hospital after each childbirth. Once you give birth to a child, you are supposed to take an antibody suppressant. Once you suppress that antibody, you can give birth to as many children as possible. It's not a death sentence. You get what I mean? So that's that basically. But it's important you know your Rhesus factor so that you wouldn't have to experience it. After your first child, you will know exactly what to do. So it's important. Majorly, as I said, is if the woman is Rhesus negative. So let's consider this situation. If a Rhesus negative girl marries a Rhesus positive man or boy, what is likely going to happen? Now, because of the positive, the children are likely going to be. The children will be Rhesus positive. Are we there? Are we there? Now, the first point you write there would be no complication for the first child. There will be no complication for the first child. There will be no complication for the first child. Are we there? Now, let me tell you why. We already know that in the connection to the mother and the child is the placenta. So if this is the child, let's just use round, and this is the mother. The connection between the mother and the child is the placenta. Hope you know that blood cells do not pass through the placenta. Hope you know that. Good. So which means the mother cannot transfer her blood to the child. The highest that can happen for the child is transmission of nutrients and antibodies. So you can put that down. Antibodies and nutrients can be transfused from mother to child, but not blood cells. Antibodies and nutrients can be transfused from mother to child, but not blood cells. Antibodies and nutrients can be transfused from mother to child through the placenta, but not blood cells. But not blood cells. But not blood cells. Are we there? Okay, good. So now, where does the complication start? Now, during the birth of the first child, when the placenta is cut, the umbilical cord is cut, I meant to say, usually there's an interaction between the blood of the child and the mother. Before we start writing, let me just explain. If you cut this umbilical cord to, when the child is born now, they have to cut the umbilical cord. There is usually an interaction. So the child's blood being rhesus positive, if it enters the mother's blood, which is rhesus negative, remember that rhesus negative does not have anything to do with positive. So once a rhesus factor enters, the body will see this rhesus positive blood as a pathogen. Do you get what I'm saying? It will see it as a foreign body. Now, because it sees it as a foreign body, it will start creating things that will attack it. And what are those things that it will create? It will create antibody D. Sorry, are we following? Good. So for the first one, now notice that this child's blood enters the mother, but they have cut the child and separated the child from the mother, which means no problem. Now, the antibodies that are produced was not transferred. It simply stayed in the mother's body. Are you guys following what I'm saying? Okay, good. Now, when there is now the second conception, that second child, provided the dad is positive, the second child would also be positive. Now, see what happens. If you have the mother and you have the child, this child is rhesus positive. Remember that at second conception, the mother already has antibody D produced and stored in her body. Am I communicating with you? Are we following? Good. Now that antibody would pass through the placenta and start entering the child's body. As it is entering the child's body, remember that the blood of the child is completely rhesus positive. This antibody will enter there and start killing all of them. Are you following? Sorry, are we good? As it starts killing all of them, eventually the child becomes asphyxiated and the child dies. Hence, this is what we refer to as erythroblastosis fetalis. What did I call this? Erythroblastosis fetalis. Erythroblastosis fetalis. So it is basically where you have excessive killing of the blood cells of the fetus. So as a result of this effect now. So remember, first child is safe, but once you have the second child and the antibodies are present in the mother, it will pass into the child because antibodies and nutrients can pass through the placenta. The blood cell will not pass, but antibodies can. You get what I'm saying? So that's that basically. So eventually, it's stillbirth. That's what we refer to as stillbirth. So one of the things that causes this stillbirth is this rhesus issue, where the child dies in the womb. You get? So that's that basically about that. So when you notice in the east or in the Igbo land, they will say it's Obanje. You get Ogbanje is like, it's not like witch per se, but it's like a child eater. You are eating your children. That's what they call them. But it's not spiritual. It's basically because when you are getting married, you guys did not consider your rhesus factors. You only checked for your genotypes. So when now you check for both rhesus factor and genotypes before you get married. I hope this is clear. I hope this is clear. Yeah. In the case of genotypes, ASAS is a no because there is a chance of an SS child. It's a no, no matter how lovey-dovey you people are. You understand? ASAS should be a no. Is this clear? Is this clear? Is this clear? Okay, very good. Thank you. Now this is a no, complete no. But if you have rhesus positive and rhesus negative, it is actually possible. That's rhesus positive man, rhesus negative woman. You need to know. Why you need to know is not so that you will cancel the marriage. It's so that the woman will take the medication she needs to take after the first conception. Sorry, I hope what I'm saying is making sense. So this one can work. Even though if the woman does not know, it will lead to complications. But this can work. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. Okay, very good. So that's that basically.